Hello, iFanboy viewers. It is me, the Grey Gargoyle, the most underrated villain in the Marvel Universe. I'm here making an appearance at HeroesCon, and the iFanboy boys asked me to help them out. So, you should go to the Netflix. Netflix is your place to rent DVDs online. If you go to www.netflix.com/iFanboy, you can register and find out how you can rent DVDs from $4.99 and up and get 2 free weeks. That works for me. Or you can go to GoDaddy.com and buy your domain names. If you go to GoDaddy.com and use the coupon code iFanboy, you can buy your own domain name, like I bought GreyGargoyle.com, to track my criminal activities. So, next time you're on, no, don't on him, back on me, the Grey Gargoyle. No. Oh, the talent with these cameras is just getting worse and worse every day. So, I need to leave and go steal some stuff before the con ends, because I am a villain, and that's what I do, and nobody can catch me. And look at my lovely gloves. They go all the way up to my elbow.
So Conor gets stuck in traffic, misses the flight, then I get on the plane, and because he's not on the plane, I get the seat next to me open so I can stretch out. And then we sit on the plane for what, an hour? It was like at least an hour. It was at least an hour. We don't move. Then they take us off the plane and back into the terminal to put us on another plane. So I'm like, oh great, so Conor can get on this flight. He text messages me saying that he's gonna get on a noon flight. So I'm calling him and I'm like, get on this plane, no answer. I think he went home. I think he turned around and just went to sleep. So Conor's not here yet. Yeah.
To another edition of iFanboy. We're here at another convention.
This time we're in Charlotte, North Carolina for HeroesCon.
And the crowds are somewhere. We've been looking for them. If you wanted to come here now, there's not much of a line. You could get right in.
Really not very pressured at all.
So that makes for a sort of relaxed atmosphere, yeah. which is kind of good for fans. And
a lot of access to creators, a lot of people. There's no problem getting up to tables and talking to people.
Exactly.
It's a different sort of vibe that we're used to.
We're used to sort of fighting our way around and having no elbow room.
Right now the biggest line's at Starbucks. So
he's not kidding.
So we're gonna go get a latte, and then maybe we'll talk to somebody.
All right, I'm here with Eric Powell, creator of The Goon. How's it going, Eric?
Pretty good. How's it going?
Good. So a lot of our audience loves The Goon. It's one of their favorite books, and it seems to really connect with the audience that it puts it out to. Is that something that you originally wanted to have planned for, or is that kind of just like a happy accident?
It's definitely an accident. I didn't think anyone wanted this book or would want it. I was completely doing it for myself, and I thought I took out a loan to self-publish, the first stuff, and I thought for sure that I'd be mopping floors 6 months later. So I was very lucky.
Yeah. So how long ago was that? I mean, how long has it taken to get to the point here?
We did 3 issues at a small press company, and then I self-published after that. And I guess that was around 99, 2001. I started self-publishing. Dark Horse picked it up around 2002, I guess. I don't know.
So it's been a few years. I mean, it's been it's been a long run. So, but what's great is that you've gone from The Goon and now you're doing work for DC on Superman.
Yeah, I'm still doing Goon stuff.
Yeah, of course. But still, it's.
Yeah, I'm taking on a few other jobs here and there, and really, I kind of wanted to focus on The Goon a lot more, but it was Bizarro and Jeff Johns and Richard Donner, and I couldn't say no to that. So, yeah.
So how is it to switch gears from doing your own kind of creator-owned Goon, kind of wacky stuff, to something a little more tamer like Superman?
It's different. You definitely have to approach it with a different mindset, especially working with someone else's script, because you're trying to convey their story, not yours. But when you're given good material, it makes it a whole lot easier, and those guys are, they're pretty good.
It's good material. Can you tell us anything about the story? Or?
No, can't tell you anything. I will tell you, though, that I just got some of the colors back from Dave Stewart, and awesome. Okay. He's awesome as usual, so I'm very pleased with the way it's looking.
So finally, one of the most recent books I read was Satan's Sodomy Baby, and I just wanted to, where'd that come from?
Anger, bitterness, frustration. Yeah, pretty much that's where it came from. It got kind of blown out of proportion because I wanted to put the word sodomy on the title, and since it was being censored so much and being thrown in the adult catalog and everything, I was like, all right, gloves are off.
So that changed your approach to the book, and you
It was originally supposed to be an issue of the Goon, but and it wasn't that bad. It was racier than the average issue, but it was no worse than your average episode of South Park or something like that, and. It was all innuendo and kind of off-panel stuff, but then, if it's going to get released in the adult catalog and be bad and everything, why not go the extra mile?
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, too, I was kind of like put in a situation where, if it had come out being released in the adult catalog and everyone's saying how bad it is, if it had just come out the way I'd originally released it, I would have caught so much crap for that. It was like, this is so racy, and everything. So I was kind of forced into that.
Just to make it that much more.
Yeah. So I definitely went over the top.
Do you think getting the special cover and the hoopla helped sales or helped the attention to it? Or
yeah. It didn't hurt, So
are we going to see more adventures of Satan Sodomy Baby? Or?
I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Awesome.
A constant in almost any con that you get to is going to be the freebie table where there's stuff for people to grab, and it seems like no matter what it is, people are always going to grab anything they can sit in their hands. But here's some of the highlights we can get. Okay, we've got the LibertyCon 20 coming up with the literary guest of honor who's as yet to be announced. We've got Vincent DeFate, Greg Matloff, Timothy Zahn. I know him. I know Timothy Zahn, and I don't know the last person. Okay, this is good. This is Give Blood. That's good. They're doing some good. The Levine Museum of the New South has a revealing look at Southern stereotypes in comics. So there's that. It's a hayseed. And then, of course, this one, How to Have Good Bowel Movements. This is a 9-item list of different things that you can do. Number 4, if you feel the urge to have a bowel movement, try to find a toilet. Do not suppress the urge unless it's absolutely necessary. And that's good advice for almost anyone.
We're here with Skottie Young, artist of the New X-Men.
Yes.
And now internet podcasting celebrity.
Yeah, I'm a superstar.
Yeah, that's it. So would you just start showing up at Around Comics and then they didn't want you to leave? Or?
Yeah, I thought I could probably take over the whole show. In about a month, it'll probably just be me. No, like really, I think it's. I spent a lot of time in a studio all week by myself, and they invited me over once, and then said, Norton and I decided to go hang out again, and they had me on there, and then one week I just went to hang out. I didn't even intend to be on the show, and they're like, sit down, and they're just like, all of a sudden I'm part of the show, so I think you get a lot of good feedback, and I get a lot of good emails from it and everything, so it's really just something to do on a Friday night and hang out with some other guys after spending a long week of work.
So you caught the bug, basically, the podcast.
I did, you damn bandwagon guys.
It doesn't wash off.
I know, you just get on there. I like to run my mouth as well, so that never hurts.
Well, let me ask you, you're the guy who draws comics but doesn't read comics, but I don't believe that.
Well, that's the thing, is and there's even been emails about that saying, you don't even read comics, and it's not that I don't read comics, it's that I haven't read a lot of comics. I'm a comic book nerd as much as anybody else is. There was a big period of time where I missed a lot of books. When you're working in the industry, sometimes you just forget. And sometimes the magic's gone a little bit. The wizard behind you see the behind the scenes stuff, so sometimes it bursts your bubble a little bit. But I think now it's good for me because I didn't read a whole lot of stuff for a lot of years. I have a lot of stuff to catch up on.
You just started Preacher.
Yeah, just started Preacher. I'm like 7 trades in on Y that I've read back to back. So I actually feel like I get the better end of the stick by not having read everything single issue by single issue. So now I have all these huge stacks of great stories that I'm reading through that, of course, everybody else already knows is good. But so I read comics just as much as anybody else. Or I mean, into comics just as much as anybody else, just because I haven't read, every fucking thing.
Well, let me ask you. You're on an X-Men book, and so do you have to? Do you have to spend a lot of time doing research and trying to figure out who the different people are? Because it's such a deep universe, and there's so many references and things like that.
I think with the new X-Men being that it's one of the younger books, it hasn't been around as long as some of the other ones, and the characters are fairly new. There wasn't a deep history that I had to go back and look at. But really what I did was before I started the series, I just spent a lot of time on the phone with Chris Yost, the writer, one of the writers, and really just kind of drilled him about because sometimes you don't know a lot of the backstory from a lot of characters just by reading the comics. I want to know what the writers actually thought about while creating a character, and sometimes they can give you a lot more insight than you can get out of a couple panels or of a comic. So I spent a lot of time on the phone with him just asking about all the super nerdy stuff, like where's this kid from originally and who's blah blah blah, and all the kind of background stuff that I think needs to go into designing a character, making a character look a certain way. So I did research like that, but I try my best to not get too involved in what's come before, because sometimes you have a tendency to just try to redo that, and I try my best to see what I can bring new to the table a little bit.
So if you're working on a script and you need to know something about one of the characters and the guys on around, do you like call somebody at Marvel? Do you go to Wikipedia, or is that just faster?
Probably Wikipedia, yeah. I mean, you know what? They're pretty good over at that place. It's pretty insane. I don't know who in the hell started that or who keeps it up, but as soon as I was on New X-Men, literally you could go to Wikipedia and my drawings of the New X-Men were the current drawings, and I was like, how the fuck do these people, you know, I don't even know that much yet, and they're already, you know, they know more about me than I do, I think, over at Wikipedia. So, but I can usually get Chris on the phone at any point of any other day. We're all losers, man. We don't leave the house.
There's a lot of artists here,
right,
and this is a good show for them. So how does it work for you guys? What makes this worth it?
I mean, you know, I bring my sketchbooks and some original art. That's always good, and then you do a lot of commissions here because it's kind of known as an artist show. The guest list of artists here is amazing. You know, you have Andy Robinson and Adam Hughes, and I mean everybody from the sweet indie books you like to the biggest of big books at Marvel and DC are here. So I think a lot of fans come to this convention. You know, they roll in early and they try to get on. You know, a lot of creators do sketches, little con sketches. A lot of us do full commissions, which is basically, you know, full-on finished pieces for people, and they'll get in here. You know, the show started at 11. By 11:15, I had, you know, 12 people on a commission list. Which
so you'll take this home and then do those pieces, and then after they're done, they'll hopefully pay you for them.
Well, no, we do them here at the show.
Oh, okay.
So you try to do, like, I try to do as many as I can here at the show. Sometimes, yeah, I don't take the money up front because I don't want to feel like I have to do them. Like, I took 12 names. I might do 12. I might do none. You know, I don't care because I don't have their money yet, right? I used to make the mistake of taking the money up front, and then I wouldn't do half the commissions, and then I didn't want to give the money back.
I can see that.
I mean, yeah, if, you know, you got like $2,000 in your pocket, you don't want to give some of that back. You know, why would you want to do that?
So how do you decide? Do you like the one you want to draw most, or?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I don't really because people come, I think, on Fridays and Saturdays, and you know, I try not to go just down the list in order because I feel like if you came on Saturday, you know, you had to work on Friday or whatever. I don't feel like it's fair just to do the people who got here first thing on Friday. So I kind of just jump around to the ones that might be easier. I might have a little bit more fun doing. Or
so have you ever gotten a commission and you were just like, I'm not drawing that?
Oh sure, but I make sure right up front that I do that. I used to just do anything that, you know, I was young and hungry, right? Like, whatever you want, sir, you know. And now I'm like, nah, fuck that. Let's put our thinking cap on, man. You know, like, but yeah, I try my best to stay away from the ones I don't think I'll be able to do a good job on, and keep it to the ones that, you know, I feel I can do a good job on. So, and sometimes I fuck those up too. So it goes both ways, you know. What are you gonna do?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're listening to the iFanboy.com Pick of the Week podcast, episode 85, live from HeroesCon in Charlotte, North Carolina, sponsored by YouBuyNow.com and the Netflix. And we got people here. Yeah. We are here with Laura Martin, and I think it's safe to say you're the premier colorist in comics today.
Okay. I'm lucky to be among the top, but yes, there are a lot of other colors that I consider better than far better. but I do all right.
Well, when you like open up a comic book for the first time, is that the first thing you look at?
Oh, absolutely. I have to see, first of all, I have to see who's coloring it and what they're doing with it. There's so many different approaches out there right now with different colors and styles and artwork that I want to check out what the colorist is doing first. Definitely.
Do you find, I mean, compared to 10 years ago, the coloring in comic books has become much more important than it used to be. Did you mostly start with digital, or were you around before?
I actually went straight to digital. I started off at Wildstorm, and they had a digital department there, so that's where I cut my teeth. Yeah.
How many books can you do like in a given month?
I have and can do up to 4, but that's a rough month. Usually, I like to keep my books around 2 to 3 per month. Mostly, and it's interesting because a lot of it doesn't so much have to do with the way I work as the deadlines that I'm given. In other words, even though I would be working on one book, say for instance, I may not get that book until the very end of the deadline, and I have to get it done in a week. So then I'm sitting around for 3 weeks not doing anything, so I might as well take extra work. And I think that's the case with a lot of colorists, is that they just have open time in their schedule because of the nature of the schedule of comics. Whether the pages get to them late or whatever the case is, we just have the ability to get things. We have to learn how to do things faster, so we have the ability to take on more work. But yeah, I'm usually doing in any given month, and none of my stuff it's technically monthly, but it doesn't necessarily appear monthly. So, at any given time of the month, I'm usually working on 2 to 3 books per month.
Are you sort of at you're kind of at the mercy of what the artists and inkers do, I guess?
Yes,
so.
exactly, and even the writers to some extent. So yeah, a lot of times, not all the time, I do get some books that are pretty well on schedule, but there are times when yes, it'll be down to the wire, and I'm still receiving pages 2 days before the book has to go to press. So it happens, and I'm used to it.
Do you find that if you get a Brian Hitch page and you haven't seen one for 6 months, and then they're saying get it done in a day,
That's tough, because you kind of have to warm up to it again. I have to actually go back and look at my old stuff and say, oh, okay, that's what he likes.
Do you find certain writers will give you directions, or do they let you do your own thing, or?
It depends on the writer and the artist. I mean, for instance, on. I just did a book called Adam and Chromaland for humanoids, and the writer actually put in a great deal of information because the story was so dependent on the coloring. I was actually painting, recreating Van Goghs and different types of Seurat and different types of classic artists. So I needed to know what she had in mind. This was Alex DeCampi who wrote it. So she put in an awful lot of notes for me specifically. But Warren Ellis will leave things alone for me. He'll give me basic directions like daytime, nighttime, whatever. I'll usually consult with the artist though, with the penciler, and see what he's got in mind when he does a page. If I can't figure it out right off the bat, then I'll call up and say, hey, is there something specific you want with this page? And he'll just usually walk me through it.
I see that you've got colored pencils up. Do you do artwork outside of the comic stuff?
Very rarely. I'd really like to do more. So I just took a commission for the first time in ever, and I was the Thorite piece I just did. That was a commission, the first one for this show.
Sketch. Did you sketch it too?
Yeah, kind of. It was good. Call it that. If you could call it that. But I rarely do artwork outside, but I would really like to start doing more of it. So I'm trying to get little breaks in my schedule so I can start doing stuff like that.
So you've got a whole setup here. Have you been working during the...
Yeah, I've actually brought my laptop and my second monitor so people could see what I'm working on. I actually couldn't work on it on Friday because somebody forgot the power cords. But yeah, this is an interesting way of working because I can work, talk to people, and still hit a deadline. I'm not sitting here twiddling my thumbs, which is kind of cool. So yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very cool. See, in this page, they're telling him, they say, listen, Chala, we've got to talk to you.
We can't have it.
And he's resolute. He's like, I'm not listening.
And she's ignoring it. She's
he's having no part of it. And he's drunk.
It's a fantastic floorhouse meeting.
It's the intervention.
Here with Rick Remender, writer of Strange Girl and Fear Agent and a lot of other projects.
Much wasted time, yes.
You've got, just looking at your table, there's a couple different genres that you've covered here. Is that something you consciously do? Do you think, well, now it's time for a sci-fi story, or do you?
Yeah, and I think that genre is I think a good story is a good story, no matter of the trappings of a genre, and it's mostly aesthetic stuff, and it also keeps things interesting. It's nice to not just be doing one thing, and I get a kick out of doing fun sci-fi stuff, and then I get a kick out of doing horror, and then doing.
Do you have a favorite?
I like writing them all for different reasons. You know, I think Fear Agent gets me back to like 10 years old playing with my toys in the backyard. It just writes itself. It's just as good. You know, it's good fun. Strange Girl, I get a chance to sort of get my head up my ass and get, you know, somewhat theological without hopefully giving people, you know, I try not to I try to write the middle on it, but I still get to have some sort of there's subtext, you know. And
Strange Girl felt very personal, was it?
Yeah. It's the more personal of all the books I've done. And again, like I said, it's difficult to ride a line when you're dealing with anything that has religion involved, and to just sit in the middle and without, you know, hearing the writers, this is what I think, this is what I think, this is what I think. And so I've always tried to like play both sides and make sure that it was, you know, even-handed.
How was the reaction to that? Did you get a lot of angry or supportive emails?
Yeah, and it's one of these books that in big cities, you know, it does better than in the middle of America and things. It's big in Canada and England and, you know, and New York and San Francisco, and you know, that's cool. A lot of people have a preconceived notion of what it is, you know, because I think that if anybody, well, you know, I think that everybody will assume that it's just this ultra-left sort of making fun of the rapture, when in fact, from my point of view, what it really was the rapture as it's the modern idea of it was such a fascinating concept. Like, what if that really happened? Right. You know, what if by not accepting Jesus as your Savior, you were here and hell broke open and the demons came and there was Antichrist everywhere trying to trick you and all this stuff? It's kind of a cool setup for a comic, I think.
It's almost action-y, too.
Well, yeah, and you know, from there it's just I constructed the road trip to find the gateway to heaven, and then from there it's just checking out the world on the way there.
This one thing we found about this convention is it's very artist-oriented. There's a lot more artists than writers here. Do you feel like the odd man out in terms of you have no sketches to sell? You've got nobody coming here looking for
I actually do sketches. I actually penciled Man with the Screaming Brain with Bruce Campbell, and I penciled The Last Christmas with Brian Posehn and Jerry Duggan last year. Brian's famous from Sarah Silverman and Mr. Show and stuff.
Is art something you miss doing? Or are you going to move full? I mean, are you a lot of writers and artists? They start writing, and then the art falls by the wayside.
Sure. Yeah, I made a living as an artist for 12 years, working in feature film animation and video game storyboards and stuff. And it's nice to have a break. You know, it's nice on the wrist, and it's nice to be able to change gears and just work creatively on storytelling. Yeah, but I mean, I still
doodle and
I still pull out the sketchbook and yeah.
Do you find yourself thinking? I mean, since do you send the artists breakdowns, or do you leave it all in their hands?
Well, you know, as an artist myself, I didn't really. You know, nobody likes to have their hand held, so I usually I work with guys that are good enough that when the stuff comes back, I'm usually 99.9% you know ecstatic about what comes. There's not really much of a reason to. So.
Now, Fear Agent just moved publishers. Is that a move on your part, or is that just something? It's just time to move on to another company? Or?
Well, I'm still doing plenty of books with Image and Dark Horse. There's you know in the next couple months it'll become apparent, you know, why that had to happen, and you know we have nothing but love for Image. The book wouldn't exist, and Dark Horse is a great home as well. They're both great companies, and it was something that sort of behind the scenes business decision at this point, you know. But you know we love both companies a lot.
Well, excellent. Well, thanks for talking to us, Rick.
It's constantly honest. Yeah. You know, it's constantly honest, and everybody wants to break him down and go, you know, right. And the music sucks, and he's a flop. And he's not a flop, you know. I mean, the thing is, like, the most difficult thing to do.
All fucking love the Smiths and Morrison. Yeah. Like, I know, I mean, like, so many guys I know growing up in hardcore on Long Island, like, we'd get in the car and we'd put in the Smiths. Awesome, man. Cool. That's rad. Yeah, great chat. Yeah, can we get 4 barbecue mince sandwiches? A large fry, a large onion rings,
I'm here with Jonathan Hickman, creator of the Nightly News. When I say creator, you did every bit of it.
I did. I wrote it, I drew it, colored it, lettered it. It's all me.
Do you find that, did that work out better for you than having a whole bunch of team or was it just a sense of, I can do the whole thing, why bother?
Well, it's one of those things where when you're starting out in comics and like me, if you're like me and you've waited as long as you have to get in, you can be a bit of a control freak, you know, and I am, you know, and the design sense and the writing and all of that, is very important to me, and I wanted to do it all myself. And I wanted to tell my story my way, and so that kind of was dictated that I was going to do everything. So.
The book is kind of heavy stuff, where you're making a lot of comments on the media and there's terrorism and extremes and things like that.
Sure.
How did that gel for you? How did it come together?
I was watching Reservoir Dogs and I flipped through the TV and there was a debate on, and I knew that the news and Reservoir Dogs, that was a perfect marriage. So it's it's a revenge story. It's a thriller, but it's smart. It's smart.
Do you find it's a way you get to get like sort of your feelings out about media, or is this stuff coming clear as you're writing it, or?
The Nightly News is it's not therapy for me. I believe in the story. I love the story. I think it's a good story. But I don't get into what is true, what isn't true, what is kind of fudged. I don't really get into that. I like to leave all that to the reader. Mm-hmm. I don't like to give people answers. I like to ask questions, and that's kind of how the Nightly News is.
Now, I heard you said that you're starting to get some mainstream work, or you did something for Marvel?
Yeah, I did a little Legion of Monsters story for Marvel, and they're talking to me about pitching some stuff. Marvel's a cool company. I'm a big fan of Marvel.
Is that the kind of goal that you have, or do you have other sort of creator-owned projects in the pipeline?
I've got 4 other books coming out from Image next year. I've got Pax Romana, starts in October. It's historical science fiction. I've got a Red Mask from Mars that I'm only writing for a guy named Ryan Bodenheim. That's kind of a big superhero, kind of post-apocalyptic Blade Runner kind of story. And then I'm doing a mockumentary kind of story called Transhuman in March.
So it sounds to me like you want to do the kind of books that sort of break the boundaries of what's sort of normally be done. So like a mockumentary is not normally the kind of thing that's done in comic books. Is that something you think about where you're like, well, this genre hasn't even been tapped, or?
I would say it's more, I don't want to do boring work. I don't want to be personally bored, and I don't want to produce something that isn't at least what interests me as a reader. And I like a lot of different stuff, so I don't feel like I need to be tied to one type of book or even visually one style, art-wise. So I'm going to mix it up a lot.
So is Pax Romana, does it take place in like the Roman age? And
it's about a story where the Pope sends a private army back in time to take over the world to 313, Constantine, the first Christian emperor of Rome, the Roman Empire, and everything goes wrong. So that's kind of the story. It's a story about the long view of humanity. The background is the action stuff. The real story is about what it would take for us to become a better species. It's kind of,
it's light fare.
But yeah, it's easy reading, bedtime material.
Was that the kind of thing? Did you know a lot about that, or did you just dive into a lot of research?
I have generally ideas for books come to me pretty completed. Mm-hmm. I kind of see the beginning, middle, and end of the stories that I want to tell. But where the stories become real and where they get fleshed out is all the research that I do. After I know where I want to go, then the research comes in and I do all that, and it grows from there.
All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me
I look forward to Pax Romana. That sounds cool.
All right.
I don't know why, but apparently Barry Kitson is the most popular artist in North Carolina. That's out of everybody who's been here, he's had a line for 3 days straight. People have chairs. We've determined, I don't think he even has cookies, so I don't know what it is. We can't even get up there to talk to him.
All right, I'm here with writer Matt Fraction. How's it going, Matt?
Great.
Yep. All right, so we're here at the Image booth, and you're actually one of you're a small number of creators who have been doing a lot of work, both creator-owned as well as for Marvel.
Yes.
How is that playing out for you? I mean, do you get a lot? It's hard to balance your time between the two companies' books, between your creator-owned stuff and the big company stuff. Or?
No, it's all different sets of muscles, so it's not difficult at all. It's great.
Yeah. Cool, excellent. So you're here with the Casanova hardcover that's gotten a little There you go. It's gotten a lot of great reviews. A lot of people are really digging it. But it's a little different than what is kind of out there from the other in terms of other comics. What has been your approach with it, or what are you trying to accomplish with Casanova?
Well, it's not a superhero book, and it's not owned by a corporation. So that's first and foremost. It's a science fiction super spy kind of epic. If you like James Bond and Angel Dust, this is the book for you.
Excellent. So you got.
I'm really courting the PCP audience.
Oh, really? And how's that working out for you?
Awesome. Yeah. They keep smashing my car windows, but it's cool. Whatever.
So you got a big book coming out from Marvel that was now has gotten a title finally.
Yes, The Order.
Yes. So originally supposed to be the Champions.
Champions are dead to me. Dead.
So how much of a stylistic change with the name change? I mean, were you bummed that you didn't get the Champions? Or?
It was those guys were dickbags. It was just a hassle. Like it was like a bummer. Like I would much rather be thinking about the book and having to deal with this retarded crap. But I'm glad it's over, and it doesn't change the book at all. The book is still the book, and the characters are still the characters. And it's not like there's 17 issues of the Champions in 1974. It's not like there's a proud tradition of that we're not able to. Whatever. It's fine. I'm embarrassed more than anything else that it took as long as it did to resolve. But the work is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It kept people talking about the book, which is nice. But I'd much rather they talk about how amazing Barry Kitson and Mark Morales.
I saw he had a huge line yesterday, Barry Kitson. Yeah.
Barry Kitson has had the longest line up in this bitch. It's crazy.
I heard he's got cookies at his booth.
Well, that'll do it every time. Cookies. I tried to get him to buy a case of moon pies last night.
Moon pies are good.
He was like, "Oh, I'm British. I don't eat moon pies." It's like, man.
So
Barry Kitson does not keep it real.
He doesn't.
But the art is beautiful, and Mark Morales does amazing work, and the two of them are a team to be reckoned with.
So it's got an interesting approach to the book.
Yes.
Can you tell us about what the kind of the previews kind of marketing copy?
Yeah, the idea is that it's a superhero team that is made up of actual real life heroes that are given a chance to save the world in a year. The program is competitive entry and competitive continuance, so there's a degree of performance they're expected to maintain, and if they screw up or they blow it, they get fired. It's like a baseball team. If you get injured, they're not going to stop playing the game. There's another shortstop waiting to take your place.
Get benched,
so right, guys can get benched, they get fired, they get injured, whatever. So it's part of the 50-state initiative, and they're defending California. So it's I know it's me doing as straightforward a superhero book as I can, which is me, so it's not very straightforward at all. But it's I love it. I love writing it. It's great, and it's all new characters and new adventures, and hopefully it'll be a good time for everybody who reads it.
Cool. So now, was that something that you pitched to Marvel, or did they say, "Hey, we've got this concept. We think you're a good guy to do it," or how did the creative thing work?
I pitched them. The idea occurred to me. I was looking at something that I could. The thing that kind of excited me about Civil War was how much they were changing the status quo, and so I was trying to figure out a story that I could tell in that kind of space. So that's where it came from.
Cool, excellent. Well, I'm a big Marvel fan, so I'm really excited for it. I love the Champions from back in the day. So
he's the guy.
Yeah, I'm the loser.
He loves the Champions. I want to have the Champy car. I want to bring that. That's the only carryover from the original.
Are you ready for the backlash that's from me and my friends on the message boards who are gonna?
Oh no, the three of you. I read some like oh, it's not my Champions. I'm like, you're champions. You're 17. What are your champions? You weren't even born yet. The Champions are the stupidest team of all. Like, come on, Hercules and Ghost Rider. Finally,
together at last.
Chocolate and peanut butter and ass.
Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to it, and thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Awesome.
What's happening here? Well, you only live once. A wise intern once told me you only live once. So I figured, Greg Gargoyle I should give him a home. So we're gonna try to make that happen.
I guess so. You got it. Thank you.
He's fully painted, as opposed to we only painted half of it. And he's also display ready, as opposed to those ones that aren't really ready for display.
There's no assembly required.
There's no assembly required. No. He's 6 inches tall overall, as opposed to just the part of the character itself. It's a bitchin' statue. Look at this bio. You don't look at it and went, really? Yeah. Really? Okay. Look, he's got a pencil thin mustache.
That's it for HeroesCon 2007. We're done. It's a wrap.
All done.
Show's
good weekend.
over.
It was a fun time.
Yeah,
fun time. So the first convention of the summer.
Yeah, first of 2.
Good way to kick it off in the heat in the South and the barbecue.
Yeah, it's been a fun time. We had a good time down here in North Carolina. Interesting convention.
Interesting, a little different feel than what we're used to. That's just us.
Yeah, one thing we did notice was interesting is the dealers.
Yep.
Mostly 90% Marvel.
Yeah, there's a lot of Marvel here. DC was kind of shit out of luck if you're looking for a DC trade, but
which is odd.
It was some there, but basically, if Marvel printed it, it's here. Which makes me think that the local mafia hijacked a truck with books, and now we're at this convention.
So that's what the whole reason for this convention exists, is a front for the mafia to sell Marvel books?
Exactly, it's a fence. That's what it is.
We're not making it out of North Carolina alive, that's the case. So that's it for the show. If you have any emails, you can send us an email at contact@ifanboy.com. You can ask us questions or whatever you feel like saying.
Tell us to come to HeroesCon, and because that's how we got the Heroes.
That's true. We are here because of emails we got. So if you have a con you want us to hit up, let us know. Email.
Or you can give us a call at 1-888-FANBOYS. That's 1-888-326-2697. We'd love to get your voicemails. Tell us about your con experiences, that sort of thing, or questions.
Yep. And if you have a con story, there's a thread about HeroesCon. There's all the other cons that come up. There'll always be a thread. So you go to iFanboy.com. You can post there, and on the forums at revision3.com.
Yeah. So until San Diego or next week for our next show, we'll see you later.
Bye.
I'm here at barbecue. I have one question. What are firefighters for?
Put out fires?
Firefighters fighting fires.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Okay.